Welcome to Comadres y Comics. Comadres y Comics is a podcast hosted by 3 Latina women.
We highlight the Latinx presence in the comic book industry as creators, characters, and fans.
Join us as we talk chisme, comics, fandom, and beer.
Hello and welcome to the new episode of Comadres y Comics. This is episode 236. We are your hosts. I am Sarah.
I'm Kristen.
And I'm Jen.
Welcome back, ladies. How are you guys doing?
Hi.
Good. I am awake. And
I'm alive.
Frozen. But yeah, I'm doing good.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Frank's home, so I'm like super excited. So can't wait till this episode's over. Oh, just kidding.
We know what she's doing afterwards.
I'm
Now I have a visual.
I'm here to deliver. You may not want it, but you'll receive it.
Oh, that takes me back to my dominatrix days.
Y'all crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, Chisme de la Semana is upon us, and today's Chisme, it's been in the Chisme mill for some time, but apparently Diamond Comics is bankrupt.
Oh.
For more detailed information, Kristen.
Right. So, Diamond Comics, for those of you who don't know, was the single distributor for comic books back in the day when Eddie and I first bought Heidi Ho, co-owned with 2 other owners. We only dealt with Diamond Comics, and there was a lot of hubbub in the retailer groups who were like, it's a monopoly and they shouldn't have a monopoly, and they can do whatever they want. It's not fair, blah, blah, blah. Well, fast forward to 2020 and DC Comics leaves Diamond, and fast forward to 2021 and Marvel Comics leaves Diamond. Now, when DC left, they left completely. They went over to 2 other distributors, but then one stepped back and was like, oh no, this is too much, and so they just stayed with Lunar, which is really DCBS. Is that BS? The biggest online distributor of comics. That's who Lunar actually is. Okay. And then Marvel left, but they continued to wholesale through Diamond, but they went to Penguin Random House. Then little by little, other distributors started leaving, and when Image left, that was almost the last nail in the coffin of Diamond, because Image was the last bigger publishing company, and Image left, and they also, I believe, went to Penguin. Yes, so about a month or so ago, it finally came out, and after all this was happening, Diamond's level of service from retailers, complaints that I have been seeing, just completely went downhill. And there were always complaints, but it got to be where things were just going really, really badly, and it was really affecting a lot of retailers. And so about a month or so ago, it came out that Diamond was going to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which basically means they weren't closing their doors. They were going to restructure and basically try to sell off little bits of their company and see if they could basically come back better. I was going to say bigger and better, but probably not bigger, just better. But since then, last week, more information has surfaced that in the paperwork that Diamond actually filed with whatever entity they needed to file in Maryland, because they're situated over in Baltimore, that there was a stipulation in there that stated that if they could not find a buyer for Diamond by April 1st, they were shuttering the doors for good. And so that was very much a big shockwave through the retailer comic book industry as a whole. But the retailers were very up in arms and upset about it because that information caused the small little publishing companies that were still with Diamond, like Mad Cave and Dynamite, and I can't remember. Boom had already left. Boom announced a while back, a couple of weeks ago, that they were leaving
Dark
too.
Horse.
Dark Horse, yeah. But that caused them all to, even though they had filed chapter 11, they all were like, we're sticking around, we'll stick with you. As soon as this other information came out, they all jumped ship. So what happened is that when everyone jumped ship, then it makes Diamond's situation worse because now they're not getting any money because everyone is leaving. And it's a catch-22 for retailers because they want to support Diamond, but they can't continue to be with them if they don't actually have books to distribute. And it was really poorly executed because what was happening is a lot of companies had already gotten their FOC numbers into Diamond, but when they canceled everything, there was a point in time where the retailers were told, go ahead and reorder from where the publishing company is moving to. So let's say, just for an example, Boom was moving from Diamond to Lunar, and they were like, go ahead and put your numbers in with Lunar. Well, then Lunar came out and was like, no, sorry, your order, Boom says your orders are going to be canceled with Diamond, but if you order through us, we can't guarantee your order. And so there is this gap. There's
Jesus.
this gap in publishing where retailers are not going to be getting any books from certain publishing companies because their orders were canceled through Diamond and then they were not honored by the place that they are moving to. And the thing that is really upsetting with retailers right now is that the retailers are like, why is Lunar not going to honor these orders? Because the printer should have gotten the numbers from Diamond already. And so all the FOC numbers should have already been put in. And so that means that who cares who's distributing it? The printer already has the right amount of information to print the right amount of books to be sent out to retailers. And so what some people are surmising is that because Lunar is really the front face of DC, I can't remember what the acronym is, but it is like the biggest comic book online retailer, and that was a big point of contention with retailers too when Lunar finally came out and was like, we're going to be a distributor. Retailers are like, how is our biggest online competitor to brick and mortar stores going to be our distributor? That makes no sense. It's a conflict of interest. And so what some retailers have done, they put on their little shiny tinfoil hats and they are basically churning that rumor mill, and they're saying, you know what I think happened? I think that Lunar is holding those books and there's going to be a shortage, and those customers are going to want those books because they are stories that they're in the middle of, and they're either collectors or they're readers, and they're going to want those books. And what option are they going to have but to go and buy them off of Lunar's online website? So who knows what the truth is and who knows why it's happening, but we are all waiting to see if Diamond can find a buyer and what's going to happen. And unfortunately, what a lot of retailers are thinking is going to happen is these smaller publishing companies are not going to be able to afford to move over to Lunar or Penguin because their threshold for the minimum of what they need to basically take your book and distribute it is too high for a small publishing company like Mad Cave or First Second or Lion Forge or any of those small little publishing companies. And so what is going to have to happen for those small publishing companies is they are going to have to start to depend on direct to retailer
Wow.
distribution. And unfortunately, a lot of retailers are not in the position to support having 50 million different accounts. Like right now, you know, I would say maybe like 20 to 25, maybe 30 places that a shop might have. And I'm also bundling in like toys and TCG and like board games and like all that kind of stuff, or like little tchotchke stuff that, you know, you have on your shelves. But for small little publishing companies to do that, and there's so many of them, like losing Diamond is going to be a big hit on the independent publishing sector of comic book publishing. And it's really kind of sad because honestly no one really knows what's going to happen, but that is and also a lot of Kickstarter type things, which a lot of small publishing companies have done already. But the missing part is how can those books get into comic shops? Like retailers want to support indie creators, but at a certain point, it's just not financially or even logistically feasible to support that many small publishing companies.
Yeah, wow, that sounds really terrible. It's gonna make a humongous impact, especially for like smaller presses, like you said. And then not only that, but like even independent writers and artists that want to put out a comic book. I mean, this is just incredibly crazy. Just I can't even wrap my head around what's gonna happen
I
or
mean,
how
the
it's gonna
industry has
evolve.
been changing for like the past, like since COVID. And even before then, it had been like I remember we would always talk like, what's the future of comics and stuff like that. Well, we're seeing it happen now, and we're just gonna have to see how this plays out, or be the person who's going to like change it. I don't know, open up another Diamond IDK or buy Diamond. Who knows?
Right, right.
Let me just write you a check.
Yeah, $5 whole.
Whoa, that's some heavy cheese, man. Like completely heavy cheese, man. Like I didn't expect it to be so thorough. Like, man, now we have to keep an eye on it and see what happens in the future, especially since you have a lot of retailer acquaintances, Kristen, that you're gonna be right straight in the middle of the cheese, man.
Yes, and um, honestly, there's just like Jen said, a lot of changes coming, a lot of changes connected to this new administration, and things that a lot of people just saw or heard might happen. And now that Trump has been elected, things like tariffs being put into place. In fact, tomorrow is the deadline for the tariffs that he has threatened to put against China and Canada, which are the two, and Mexico, but China and Canada are the two major other countries that comic books are printed in. And so we are waiting to see actually if he follows through, or if he's just using it as a threat, or what if he does do it, how long it's going to be in place. But there is a lot of uncertainty for the comic book industry
Wow.
coming up.
Today on my radar, take it away, Kristen.
It's on my radar already.
Yes. And that.
I was not prepared, but I have in my hot little hands the actual copy of Boston Metaphysical Society Volume 2.
Ooh.
When we interviewed Madeline, we also, or I think we all did, but I read the first couple of issues of Volume 1 and really got into the story and really appreciated the characters and the character development. And when we saw the Kickstarter and the what are the stretch goals, I was like, I need to have, remember she talked about the bookmark, the cool little
Yeah.
bookmark. Well, here it is. It is
Ooh.
so cool.
Oh my
Look at
god.
that.
I love it. Yeah.
And it's the same on both sides. And I don't know if I
Nice.
take this out if it'll show better, but it's like a little metal
Yeah.
bookmark, and it is so cute. And I used it on the book that we are going to review today, and the whole thing was worth it. But for those of you who don't remember what the book is about, and before I even say that, it's I'm going to just say, if you like Penny Dreadful, Girl Genius, Ruse, steampunk, and gas lamp fantasy stories, whatever that means, you'll like Boston Metaphysical Society. People who like to read paranormal historical fiction, paranormal, historical fiction, but this happens to be paranormal historical fiction. And or alternate history. And if you like character-driven comics with a mix of paranormal and science fiction, then these comics are for you. So this story basically is a volume 2 of a mini series that is about an ex-Pinkerton detective, a spirit photographer, and a genius scientist who battle supernatural forces in the late 1800s Boston. They live in an alternate steampunk history where ghosts and demons are a paranormal part of life. Families known as the Great Houses control the economy of the great states of America, while the middle class and lower classes' sole purpose are to serve the Great Houses. So in this volume 2, there's 4 sequels to the first volume. And this is not quite yet available online because she's just fulfilling her Kickstarter rewards. But you can go to her website, and that is, I believe, Queen of the World. Let me see here. I had it, and I'm just looking at the Kickstarter. But let me look it up. But you can go to her website, and you can actually read the first couple of issues for free, which is what we did when we were preparing to interview Madeline, and they're so good. Like, I'm not gonna lie, when I first queenofamerica.com, when I first saw this book and heard about it, I'm not really a steampunk person. I don't even know what that means. Like, I know what it means visually, but like cognitively I have no idea what it means. And so I was like, oh, I'm not interested, and I don't even like, I had no desire to read it. And sorry, Madeline, the truth is about to come out right now. Like, when we went to prepare to interview her, I was like, I don't want to read this. I'm not interested at all. But I loved it.
Yes.
I
ate her
loved
words.
it. Yes. So
Eating that good old humble pie.
you can go to queenofamerica.com and read I'm going to look to see how many it is that you can read here for freebies. Let's see. I saw earlier here of how many you could read, or how many of the issues were up, but I don't see it off the bat. So I guess the first issue for free here. Again, that's queenofamerica.com to read the first issue of Boston Metaphysical Society by Holly-Rosing, Madeline Holly-Rosing. And then you can also buy other volumes off of her website, and then soon most likely have volume 2 available for purchase as well. So that is what is on my radar.
And it's some good radar, that one.
Very
I also love
good.
the book, so yeah, definitely check it out. And her bookmark. Now I'm super jealous I didn't get. The
I
bookmark.
know, it's so cool. Actually, I was like, I want to contact her and be like, how much did this cost? Imagine if we had a Comadre C Comics bookmark,
That
Ooh.
sounds amazing.
and we
So
would
it's-
sell it. We wouldn't give them away.
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
Heard it
it's
here
really
first.
cool. Yes, definitely. It's that time, guys. My favorite time of the episodes, and it is time for La Hora de la Cervecita. What are we drinking today, ladies? What are we drinking?
It is Samuel Smith Old Brewery Tadcaster Celebrated Oatmeal Stout. And this interests me. Is this a brewery from England? And it says Samuel Smith is a small, fiercely independent, family-owned and operated brewery since 1758. That's like
Wow.
that's
old country.
Yeah. It is an oatmeal stout, and it's a 5% ABV, and
Vegan.
it is vegan, and it is imported by Merchant Duvin in Tacoma, Washington. So this beer has been all over. Oh, look how dark it is.
Holy shit.
I don't know how excited I am about this, but
Look at that head.
we'll see. Smells good.
He said. Look at that. I poured it in one of these old-timey glasses. A beer mug.
Ooh, it does smell very good.
Oh,
Oh,
it does. You know what? I smell banana.
Ooh.
Do you smell that? A little bit banana and
a
obviously
little
some
bit, yeah.
cocoa.
I can see it.
Some cocoa.
I've actually had a
Some
banana
dark
stout
chocolate.
before.
Not to bring up work, but Jamba Juice is gonna start. If your Jamba Juice isn't carrying oatmeal, they're going to.
Oh
Because
yeah,
they're gonna have to.
I saw it the other day.
The end of February. At the end of February, your local Jamba Juice will have oatmeal.
I saw them.
And the good kind.
What's the good kind?
The one that won't give you a heart attack.
There's one that
Oatmeal gives you a heart attack?
I think it's the quick 1 minute ones that aren't like good for you.
Oh.
Steel Cut is the good one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
first off, it smells just enchanting. Okay, yeah.
I just had a religious experience.
Okay, I have a cup here that I'm gonna pour it into. It had
water,
cranberry juice.
Oh, en la canción.
I don't remember what this had, but
So
you
I'm
know
gonna
what? I'm a
use
little
it.
worried. Oh, you know what? I know this only had water. Actually, it still has water in it. Maybe I shouldn't use this.
Okay. It's my Miles Morales pint.
Oh.
Okay. I'll go ahead and start. I'm feeling a lot of coffee in it. It's not sweet at all. There's some bitterness, but it's not super bitter. But it's not super flavorful. Like it's not like, oh my gosh, she just dipped her finger in her cup. Yeah.
What is that pour?
Yeah.
I know. It's because I was holding the glass with my dead hand, and I was afraid that I was going to drop it, so I didn't tilt it as.
Is your hand still dead?
Yeah, I barely got a call with my referrals being approved today. My hand has been numb since the last week of October 2024.
Girl.
Wow. And she calls it her dead hand, guys.
Yeah.
So
When Eddie's bad, I say, "You better run. I'm gonna beat you with my dead hand."
Put extra rings on there.
Oh my lord! It's like putting some rocks in in an old dirty sock and beating him with it.
Yep.
Oh my lord! Okay, so what do you guys think of the beer?
This beer is doing something to me.
Hmm.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what kind of dead corpses they ground up to pour into it, but I'm into it. I like it.
Yeah, it's very. I feel like it's light in the sense that it's not like, you know how there's a lot of beers out there that just introduce so many flavors. So that was, remember that marshmallow beer? Like, what the hell?
Don't upset me.
I know,
Mm.
I know. So it's really light.
Disappointment.
I guess I can tell that it's old timey and old worldly because there's like a
Yeah.
consistency.
No fizz. I mean,
No
the
fizz.
the fizz was all at the top, but drinking it, it's very flat.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
it's an English beer, so that's to be expected.
Yes.
But this
Um,
time, I don't mind it.
Mm.
I have this misconception with dark beers that they're going to be thick. So
Oh, yes.
when they're not, it actually catches me off guard. And for me, I always assume a stout is going to be thick. And you know why? Because of our monkey, what is it?
Sticky monkey.
Sticky monkey is thick. Like sticky
Yeah.
monkey, you cannot drink. I cannot drink. I have to sip it because it's so
Yes.
thick.
Yes.
And
Then we had that other beer, like Atraxis or something like that. That was also kind of
Abraxas.
thick.
Abraxas.
Abraxas, yeah.
Mhm.
Also delicious.
so
Kind of thick.
this is not thick at all. It's very thin,
Yes.
very, I want to say watery, but it's
Yeah.
not watery in taste. It's
Taste,
watery in
right.
consistency, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The mouth feel, the tongue
Mhm.
feel. Yeah. No, definitely agree with you there. Absolutely.
But
I'm
the
not-
flavor is pretty good.
Yeah, it is pretty good. It's very light. Like, you know, I didn't, but you're right. Kind of the consistency of watery and not the thickness of like.
And yeah, and so yes, light also in ABV because it's only a 5, whereas
Yeah.
Sticky Monkey is like 110 or some shit. It's probably, I
Yes.
think it's like a 13 or something.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Whatever. This has a great aftertaste. It's almost not exactly like licorice esque, but along those, like, I want to say almost like, what is that?
Mm,
Almost like anise.
oh yes. Anise, which is
I don't know if
Yeah.
they have it in there, but or what the recipe is, but it feels very anise like to me, and I
I can
love
I
it.
can feel that, yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. That's a good. The, yeah, that's a good assumption there, and maybe that's what gives it that kind of like a banana smell.
There could also be bananas in here. We don't know.
But it's not thick. See, the banana would signify thickness, you know, because bananas are really.
But
like,
would it? Would
But you
it?
guys,
n-
you know, a lot of times when beers say they taste like, doesn't mean that actually is in it. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
It's
I
just
think
reminiscent.
mhm.
reminiscent. Yes. A
Maybe
hint,
they waved the banana over it. I don't know.
a dream of a banana. A dream. Of a
I
banana.
am picturing a guy with no pants on swinging his hips over the beer vat.
Hey, we don't know. They've been open since 1758. I don't know what rituals they have. I'm not one to judge.
Wow.
We
Wow.
listen and we
And
don't
we
judge.
don't judge. And that's what they gotta do to make some banger beer. So long as no hair goes flying in, I'm fine.
Oh no.
They strain it out. They strain it out.
Yeah, they
with the-
strain it out.
Gross.
You know, it adds that extra something, a little musk.
Ugh. That's enough. I want to drink this beer. So what is the rating scale, Kristen?
So we have a 5-point rating scale where 1 out of 5 is very unsatisfied, 2 out of 5 is just regularly unsatisfied, a 3 out of 5 is neutral, 4 out of 5 is satisfied, and a 5 out of 5 is very satisfied. And if the beer is off the charts, then we give it a Super Saiyan. I'll go ahead and start. I'm going to give it a very satisfied. I actually really enjoy it. I would. You guys know that I like to drink my beer with food, and this is making me want to sit down. I was watching a TV show earlier and they were eating chili cheese fries. I think I would love to drink this with some chili cheese fries.
A woman of culture, a woman of taste.
So, yes, I give it a 4 out of 5. How about you?
I'm going to give it a very satisfied just because when you said you could pair it with food, I was thinking about like a pretzel. I think it would go really well with the pretzel. So I'm going to give it a very satisfied. I also very much enjoyed it. It was like the hint of banana and the smell. I was really kind of like get the whole mood started. So I really, really enjoyed it. What about you, Jen?
I'm gonna give it. Wait, are we still doing Super Saiyan?
Yes, yes.
Then I'm gonna give it that.
Ooh.
Because every sip that I take of this, that aftertaste is so delicious to me. It's really good.
Wow.
I like it a lot.
Wow.
It's
On an
yeah,
English beer, that's remarkable.
yeah. It
Yeah.
is like I would like to go to wherever the hell it is that they make this thing and be like, I'll go swimming in your beer. Don't wave the dick around. I'll add a different flavor.
Very, very nice. Very nice. I like that visual. And that, ladies and gentlemen, has been our beer review. It is time for the book review. What are we reviewing today, ladies?
So today we are reviewing Be That Way by Hope Larson. I'm just going to read the little synopsis that they have here inside of the book jacket. It's January 1st, 1996. What a time to
Love
be
it.
alive.
Yes.
And high school junior Christine wants more than anything to be someone everyone notices. Like her gorgeous best friend, Laundry.
I called
That's
her
what her
Laundry
name is.
too.
Her name is Laundry.
Dude, that's what I called her throughout the book. It really is Landry.
Landry, yeah.
But we
Laundry.
call her Laundry because
Laundry.
she's such a trash person. She's dirty laundry.
I just looked at it and I'm just so like, they wanted to name this child Laundry, but couldn't get away with it. Or they were trying to be unique and they just took out the U. It's Laundry. She usually hates New Year's resolutions, but this year she vows to become that shiny kind of girl and record it all in her diary through prose, illustration, and comics. But then she and Laundry have a huge fight, and Christine is surprised to discover just how much she doesn't miss her and her drama. Unfortunately, a misguided kiss with a film-obsessed Paul, her only other close friend, also causes a rift, and she finds herself facing a long, lonely summer. With nothing to lose, Christine finds a new sense of courage. She gets a job at her neighborhood video store, experiments with her art, and becomes romantically entangled with her next-door neighbor, Whit, who's either the coolest guy ever or a total jerk. In spite of all this, she doesn't quite feel shiny until a shocking betrayal shows her the value of the words and drawings she hides in her diary, and she finally understands that she doesn't need to be cool to be noticed. She only needs to be herself. Be That Way is a powerful coming-of-age story set in a time before the internet that explores themes of betrayal, first love, self-expression, and the power of art.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm pretty sure we've read Hope Larson's other stuff. Like,
Yes.
she's like a familiar name to us.
We've read Goldie Vance way back in the day.
That's right. Didn't we meet her?
I don't know.
Like,
Maybe.
I feel like we met the creators of Goldie Vance. But she's the author of Soul Magic, illustrated by Rebecca Mock. She's also written novels including the Eagle Rock series, All Summer Long, All Together Now, and All My Friends. She adapted and illustrated the New York Times bestselling A Wrinkle in Time. I remember when that came out. which she won an Eisner Award for.
Wow.
And then she's done other things, like I said, gold
And
events.
she's her big 2 book she worked on was Batgirl.
Oh, that's right. The new Batgirl?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So she both wrote and illustrated this book, and
Yes.
it is freaking amazing. I love this book. I love every inch of this book. I just love it. I started reading it, and it's a lot of words and a lot of
So
single
it's
quote
mostly
art.
a prose book, sprinkled in with some illustrations. There are some pages which are panels that are like comics in here, but for the most part, it is a YA prose book. But honestly, it went very quickly for me, and I was kind of sad when it was over. I wanted it to be more. I wanted to keep reading the characters and keep reading her Hope's style. Actually, it
Mm-hmm.
was very, 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 and I know I say this a lot with creators who write in a youth voice. Sometimes it can be inauthentic, but this is very authentic. And I want to tell you,
Super authentic.
I was already in college in 1996, but the fact that there was no internet, no cell phone, the things that she said and did was very reminiscent of me being a teenager in the 80s. And it took me right back to
Aww.
being at the mall, or even down to the freaking Clinique black honey lipstick. That was my lipstick.
It's
Oh
so
my God.
funny that you're saying this because as I was reading this, all I could think about was just like, this is Kristen. This is Kristen, but like it's like a decade, like if she was born a decade later.
Uh-huh.
She lived through she was a teenager in the 90s.
Yeah.
Dude,
Like
I
down to
mean,
like the first boyfriend and everything and all that you told us and like your shenanigans um uh in Hayward. Everything but
Hanford
the snow.
Hayward.
Hayward, Hanford, they both sound the same to me.
I totally love this book. I also identified with her, like little things like her drawing perspective about her bruise that she caught after being in the
That was
mosh
so
pit.
cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and not only that, like when she told a friend she was heartbroken, she's like, "Oh yeah, that's nothing. A pit won't, won't take care of it." And then she described being in the pit, and I was like, "Oh my God, that is so true. Like that's how you feel." And then you get out sweaty, and you get out into the night, and then the cold air feels like super amazing after you've been in the pit because you're so sweaty and everything. I mean, all those little moments she had while writing her journal or whatever were really super amazingly written, and a lot of them I could definitely identify with. Like, and then I don't know. It was I don't know. I don't. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say is, so she's writing in her journal, and then we're reading her journal, and so like it's not like we are walking down the hallway with her in school. We are getting the summary of her day that day, and the way she writes it is just freaking amazing. I absolutely love this book. I love the fact that she that had to go buy clothes at Goodwill because her dad died and her mom was like trying to support 3 kids by
Mm-hmm.
herself. That she
Working
had
as a nurse.
Yes, and then that she had to take care of her 2 younger siblings and stuff like that. It was just really, really well written. Going to a party and getting drunk. I mean, it was just amazingly written, down to like the wraparound plaid skirt. Like I had that. I bought it at Miller's Outpost. You know,
Oh my
like
gosh, Miller's Outpost.
yes. And down to drawing the spheres in art class. I drew the
Oh
sphere in
yes.
art class. You know, it's like freaking crazy. just it was just I felt like I could have written this book if, first of all, I was a writer, and second of all, if I actually kept up with my journal.
Oh
But
my
it's
gosh.
just
Yeah.
I was very consistent in with my journal as a teenager. I just had a 3-ring binder that I would put loose leaf paper in and write. And this brought me back to um, my entries, and it you get to see like when something happens to her that is very emotional or that she finds very traumatic. um she skips days, so you see that there's entry dates on
Mhm.
every part of the story, that how Sarah was saying that we're reading her journal. That's how we are engaged with the character and in the story. And so I know that uh it was very realistic in that when something happened that like was very like horrible to her, or she just had a hard time with, she skips days, and she does mention it. And there's in the beginning, she it actually, because I did this multiple times too, mostly when I was older, but I would start one, I'd be like, okay, this time I'm gonna stick with it. And then the next year, okay, this is a new year, I never stuck with it last year, but this year I'm gonna stick with it. So like in the beginning it goes from 1993, and then we skip all the way. And there's journals, but we don't get to see anything inside of them, and it goes all the way to 96, and that's where the story that we are reading starts. So I'm interested to know, are there stories, are all those other journals full and filled, and could Hope go back and actually write prequels to this story? Like, Hope, if you're listening, take that into consideration, because you have a reader here already who wants to know more about what
Christine.
Christine was like when she was younger.
See, even her name is almost like yours. No, this was so much fun to read. And even then, because I've also tried to do journaling, and then I realized that I'm very inconsistent and very like, oh, I don't want to. But as I was reading it, all I could help thinking is like, because I wasn't good with journaling, but what I was good at was writing like little poetries, little
Mhm.
stories, and stuff like that. And sometimes because I was a teenager, I do like self insert. Instead of writing about myself, I would write about somebody else who was like me and what happened to them. Um, uh, but I remember is like I always wanted to be like, I'm gonna be a great writer. I'm gonna be so good. So I would always use the most complicated fucking words that I knew to write and sound super pretentious while also it being just written awfully. And so I have those stories and still, and I like. And they're also in a red 3-ring binder with a bunch of, it's mixed with a bunch of poetry, a bunch of like small like writings and like stories, and a bunch of fan fiction that I was doing when I was in from
Oh,
middle school to
nice.
high school. Yeah. And I didn't write enough that I could like have multiple binders. Well, I had two. I had two. Um and they're still somewhere in my parents' house. They'll never know. They can't read English.
I
But
have mine here in my house, and I had a 3-ring binder that had all of my journal entries, but I also had a little like cloth bound journal that I bought from Barnes and Noble that I would write my poetry in. And I would write poetry, but I also would go to the library and read poetry books and copy poetry from other writers into my book, because for whatever reason they resonated with me. So I have a book full of all that, and also lyrics of songs that like also like spoke to me. But so I have that too, and I've gone round and round about, because I think we've talked about this too, because we've all have stuff like this from back when we were teenagers, that we should make some kind of show around it where we sit and we discuss our our, our angsty teenage journal entry.
Oh, absolutely. I actually have them in the bookshelf behind me. And there was a time that I was like, I don't want anybody to read them, so I started writing them backwards. And that was something I kind
Wow.
of like mastered backwards
Oh my
Chinese.
goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, let's do that. I feel like it could be part of a book.
I don't know. I still find them kind of embarrassing. Give me
Oh,
another 10 years.
absolutely, it's
You don't have
embarrassing.
to read yours. You can just critique ours.
All right, I'm down. I'm game.
And I mean, honestly, it, like also her insecurity about not being shiny or like the popular girl and mostly felt invisible in front of other guys. That was 100% me. Like I felt that way, like ignored. I never got asked out. I didn't have a boyfriend in high school, not until like my senior year, but so yeah, there was all of that in middle school, all that feeling like inadequate and awkward, and I always said the weird thing. I still say the weird thing, but it doesn't live in my head that much like it used to. But um, but yeah, no, it was freaking magical. I love this book. I love this book. Love it. I can't recommend it enough. It's just so good, including the art. Oh my gosh. I mean, and
Yeah.
it's different styles of art. So one of the things that I hated about drawing when I was younger is because I didn't have a style. So I was constantly changing it up, just like her in her journal, that there's different styles here and there. I was like, damn, why didn't I take kind of like um, take that as a kind of a gift where you're like you can draw in different styles instead of
Hmm.
saying I'm just copying somebody else instead of not having your own identity as an artist. But it's just really amazing. I cannot recommend it enough. I mean, I want to actually reread it again. It's that good. But it's that good. It just was like somebody took a copy of my story and wrote it way better than I could have, and then published it, and then used different names for the characters and stuff. But it was really great. I really enjoyed it. Enjoyed it a great deal, and I can't say anymore. It's just super great.
It definitely took me back to the day where Christine, in this entry where Christine is calling Landry because I don't know what was going on that she wanted to talk to her about or tell her, but she kept calling and calling and calling until finally her dad picked up and said, "Quit calling." And that's what we had to do back in the day because
Yeah,
there was
no
no
text, no
texting,
email.
there was no, yeah.
Hmm.
I
There was
think
the
that
mention of the pager.
I was gonna say, I think that they mentioned that she had a pager, but that for me wasn't until I was in high school. I'm sorry, high school, college. I didn't get a pager actually until I had my first job out of college. So I didn't even have a pager in college. So you had to just call the landline, and if the person wasn't home, you just had to keep calling, especially if they
Mhm,
didn't have an answering machine, which we didn't have an answering machine for a really long time.
mhm,
So
mhm.
so yeah, all that stuff brought me back, and again, even though it was a decade after I was in high school, it still resonated with me. A lot of the things were still very similar, and so I am also very much wanting to just share this book with as many people that I think would enjoy it, and also Sarah, just like you, would be totally down to reread it because it was just that good.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely loved just the whole kind of vibe because when we were younger and without all this like internet stuff, how we would kind of like identify with another teen would be like, what's your favorite movie? Who's your favorite um, author? And what book are you reading? And why do you like it? Like little things like that. Like, oh, you seem kind of edgy because you're renting the movie Seven, kind of thing. Even though in the same stack you're renting Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen. Um, so but I mean all those little details that really resonated with me growing up during that time too.
Mhm.
So that was really cool. I
You
actually
would, yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say you actually had to physically go to these locations because there wasn't any online ordering. There wasn't
Yeah,
any. Again, the whole talk about how third spaces no longer exist in America, like going to them, like really, like the mall still exists, but people aren't really
yeah,
going to it.
yeah.
Um, like like record stores, video shops. Like Blockbuster doesn't exist anymore, and there's nothing similar that has taken it up because there's Netflix. There's Max, there's all these other streaming sites. Skate parks still exist, but I don't really see that many kids skating. It's mostly like either like college age people or something like that. I don't really like I don't see kids like really like doing that anymore. Or maybe I'm just one, I don't really hang around kids. That would be weird. But even then, just like I feel like growing up, I was fucking, even as like a weird shy like introvert emo, I still liked going to the mall, going to like Hot Topic. I still like I skated for a brief while. And but I was like out there like still like doing things. And above all else, I mean, when I was still growing, like the internet was there, but you needed money to have a cell phone still. So you needed money. Like you could still use the excuse like, I'm sorry, I couldn't do this assignment because I don't have the internet. And the library computers were all booked up, or I couldn't print this because I don't have a printer, or I don't have access to a printer. Hell, I remember when the library printers, they would charge you. At one point, it was free, and then they started charging you like 10 cents or stuff like that, and people were up in arms about it because they're like, "Well, this used to be free," and they're like, "We're going through too much paper. Like, we need like." Before, like, people weren't really printing things because you had to either like write it down or still like, what's the thing that you used to use, Kristen? A word processor.
Oh yeah.
That thing you did.
That thing.
Old timies.
Yeah.
I was like, microfiche?
I don't even know microfiche.
I don't want to know.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, like how you would turn in an assignment sometimes would be like, and you better pray you had enough, was through a floppy disk. And then I remember when USBs came out, or at least like in a mass, and they used to be expensive. They're not the cheap shit that you can get now. They were expensive. Like I remember, like I had to beg my mom and prove to my mom that I needed a 1 gigabyte USB. And it was like almost $50.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but this was like 2005.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's so funny kind of being in this in between, because I do remember doing like some of this stuff, or like but then at the other time I was just all like, no, that was for like people who were older than me, or who didn't go to an inner city school. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, half of the time the later half of when I was in high school, I was probably drunk.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man. Wow.
Okay, Landry.
Laundry.
I wasn't going to parties. I was just getting drunk at school.
Man. Well, I think we've said so many great things about this book. We didn't want to give away the story, but yeah, definitely check it out. You gotta get it. We're ready to actually rate it. So, what's our rating scale, Kristen?
So our rating scale is on a scale of 1 to 3 conchas, with 3 conchas being the most conchas that Jen's mom ever let her eat in one sitting. So that was the best. So if we feel like a book is off of our charts, then we will individually have personalized ratings. So I'll go ahead and get started, and I am going to give it 3 conchas and a red solo cup full of beer, because it was very, very reminiscent to me of just my not childhood, but my teenagehood or whatever. And I really enjoyed the story, and Hope has a lot of what I want to say. She is very skilled in writing authentically in the youth's voice. She even got down the jerkiness of teenage boys very authentically. So that's what I'm gonna give it. 3 conchas and a red Solo cup full of beer.
I'm gonna go next, and I'm also gonna give it that red Solo cup full of beer, but I'm gonna give it the whole panaderia. The whole panaderia. And the Super Saiyan. Loved it. What about you, Jen?
I'm gonna give it tres conchas, a bag of the Doritos 3Ds, and Crystal Pepsi. You know, the
Oh my
real
gosh.
90s classics.
Yeah.
I love it. Yes.
When did they stop making the Doritos 3Ds?
I don't
Like,
know.
I fucking loved them. They were
I
like
never had them.
they were a textural experience.
I remember them, but I don't think I ever had them.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, en la libreria. Jen, take it away.
So today I have Dead Nipples, Living Scars,
I
a
love
collection
it.
of art and comics exploring thoughts and feelings from the pre to post top surgery. So I believe this is a reprint. Yeah. So top surgery comics, illustrations, and anecdotes plus Dead Nipples reprint. So I believe this is like it's Living Scars is like the book, and it's also gonna have a reprint of Dead Nipples in it. But let me read the story synopsis that they have right here. Backstory. Living Scars is a somewhat sequel to a zine created in 2022 to help me fund my top surgery. Dead Nipples contained artwork celebrating trans joy, as well as some base level info on trans stuff in general and the surgery I had been waiting for over 4 years. Now I'm 2 years post op. I'm so grateful I was able to access the care I needed and had a wonderful experience overall. However, I am nothing if not an opportunist, and the experience left me with more thoughts. Conveniently, I put them all in a book for you. Living Scars contains an array of comics, artwork, and maybe even some useful info at certain points. I hope it can be useful for anyone interested in the surgery and maybe make it less scary. I can't promise anyone's experiences will be the same as mine, but hearing anecdotes firsthand can help prepare you for what to expect. Additionally, maybe it would be a good thing to get for your support system that perhaps lack an understanding of trans stuff. Heck, it would be great for anyone who wants to better understand why people like me want to spend $7K on an elective surgery. Education, so fun you don't realize you're learning. This book is rich in silliness with a sprinkle of stats and facts in between, and a lineup of anecdotal comics. Jesus, I can't spell. I can't speak. Oh my god. Okay, and then they have a little a little preview of the comic, as well as some of the art that they're going to be having in their self-reflections, like definitions like of gender dysphoria, gender euphoria, humor. They're going to try to get rid of some misconceptions, uh, like hormones are not stored in the boobs. Getting top surgery will not cause a hormone imbalance. Um, so, Living Scars will be an A5 perfect bound book printed on recycled paper. The page count is currently around 50, but is subject to increase depending on how many more ideas I get. Dead Nipples reprint. In addition to this brand spanking new book, I'm hoping to do one last reprint of Dead Nipples so that you can have the option to get the set. This book is 40 pages of A6 artwork, so a little smaller than Living Scars. If you don't know what I'm talking about, here's a little preview of my pre-op book, and they have it right here. It looks really good. And then there's the usual risk and challenges disclaimer. Definitely check it out. I think especially right now in these times, a lot of people should get educated on what trans identity is by a trans person who has gone through the surgery. So they were they had a goal of $621, which they have met, and they are currently at $1,098 with 43 backers and 18 days to go. You can always make a pledge without expecting a reward, but the base pledge does start at £6, which is about $8 US, and it's the Living Scars PDF. If you want both PDFs of Living Scars and Dead Nipples, it is £10 or about $13. And then if you want the physical book of Living Scars, it's £12 or about $15, which is about the average price. 50, what did they say? 50 pages?
Hmm.
Yeah. So that's like about like a graphic novel. So $15 for it. Not bad at all. And then if you want both copies of the Living Scars and Dead Nipples, the physical copies, it's about £20 or 25 US, which is actually pretty good. And then it keeps going up in tiers from there. There is a retailer pack, for both sets. Definitely check it out. It looks really great.
Cool.
Awesome. And now it's time for Juntos y Fuertes. Kristen, what do you have for us today?
Well, today I have for you BIPOC Pop. And BIPOC Pop is a film festival. So it's an animation festival. It brings together creatives, scholars, and industry leaders from comics, gaming, animation, and multimedia arts for a 3-day event focused on strengthening community through the sharing of cutting-edge creative critical knowledge in the visual storytelling arts. The BIPOC Pop Animation Festival is the event's film component, seeking animated shorts from established and emerging BIPOC creatives. So this year's event is happening in Austin, Texas from March 6th through March 8th. And they've already had an official call for submission because it's already so close. But if you want to attend, those are the dates, and it's in Austin, Texas, if that is your area. But you can go to their website if you are interested to apply for next year's event. So this year, they actually are going to be hosting Jaime Hernandez, co-creator of Love and Rockets, as their special guest. And then the poster for this year's event was designed by a Mexican artist, Diana Vargas Sampieri. So, and the poster is super, super cute. So again, that's March 6th through 8th. From 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. all 3 days, and it's at the UT Austin's Clickman Conference Center in Patton Hall, and it's free and open to the public. And if you want to get more information, you can go to www.bipocpop, and that's BIPOCPOP.com.
Now it's time for saludos, and saludos goes out today to Los Angeles Zine Fest. Yes, that is happening March 1st and March 2nd at the Broad in downtown LA. Applications, right now they're taking applications for volunteers. They're open now and they close on February 24th. So if you want to volunteer for the LA Zine Fest, definitely check out and apply at lazinefest.com. That's LAZINEFEST.com. And yeah, check it out. Saludos goes out to them because it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. And I have been loving zines lately. And we have reviewed zines on the podcast. So I don't know if we can make it down there and maybe pick up some zines. That sounds like a lot of fun. But yes, check it out. You can follow them on Instagram, and also you can again fill out a volunteer application at lazinefest.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of this episode. Where can they find us, Kristen?
You can find us on our website at comadresecomics.com, where you can find links to all of our social media, as well as our YouTube channel, which is Comadres Comics Podcast. You can watch our podcast on YouTube, as well as listen for free on any major streaming platform. You can also email us at comadresecomics@gmail.com.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for listening, everybody. Thank you so much. We were on two lists. We were 100 Latino podcasts to listen to in 2025, and also what the best 100 podcasts about comic books. And we're in the 60s range. And thank you so much. I didn't even know it was on anybody's radar. So thank you guys so much for supporting us and for listening and sharing your time with us. Thank you. We have been your host, I'm Sarah.
I'm Kristen.
And I'm Jen.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.